Give it up again, once again, for the creators of Behind Closed Door podcast. Yeah. We're doing double duty here. I will let you both introduce yourselves to our captive audience, and then I'll let you take it from there, much like I've asked everyone else. What's the podcast? It sounds like fun and like a little bit of like we get to figure out how to be nosy with you all, right? I'm excited about that. I'm a little nosy. So, introductions, and then tell us what's the podcast about, how it got started.
So, I'm Samantha Douglas. I have a bunch of different roles in the city. I'm the president of the Far East Side Community Council, and I'm involved politically and things like that. But we really wanted to create a space where we could talk about like our personal life, our marriage and our kids and parenting and just all the things, right? Because we're juggling a lot. Yeah. And so it was exciting to be able to create this space, but I won't go into too much until he introduces himself.
I'm Jared. I'm Samantha's husband.
A man of few words. I think that's probably smart. What's behind the closed door? That's what I'm really interested in. I think maybe all of us are.
Yeah, so this podcast is really designed to help families make it. We feel like looking on social media and looking like on YouTube, things like that, you see a whole bunch of like unrealistic expectations of what a long-term relationship looks like, what getting married young looks like, what having kids young looks like, what juggling all these different roles looks like and still maintaining a healthy marriage. And so we decided that like, we'll be honest, we'll be transparent, we'll show people the real. And if anybody has watched it, you see us, we disagree on camera. I get annoyed and let him know that I'm annoyed. But yeah, we just really wanted to see families make it, but specifically black families.
Jared, my question for you all, because you all want to pull that curtain back and be as honest and vulnerable as you can to highlight what it takes to have a good marriage, what are those discussions like for you two before you have an episode where you're like, we're about to get into some really touchy stuff. How do we handle this being honest but respectful towards each other?
Well, usually it just stems from just a place of love to begin with. And then outside of that, there's really not too much pre-production that we do as far as what we will and won't touch. We kind of just let God lead as he leads. And just trust the gift of authenticity and transparency that in some way, us being vulnerable with who we are, it will connect with somebody. Just like she said, the heart behind it is to see our families make it. So really, man, just conveying a message that marriage is hard. It's just going to be hard. It doesn't matter how you slice it. Doesn't matter kind of what we decide to talk about or not talk about. Sometimes those conversations are just hard, and they arise when they arise. Today, for example, she hits me up. Oh, I forgot. I promised Wendy we were going to go do this thing. So I'm fresh off the gig thinking I'm going to come home. I'm going to relax. I'm maybe going to hit the gym. And my day is going to like kind of sail into the evening. But now there's 3 cameras right here and an audience, and I'm on a microphone somehow.
I bring variety to his life.
Clearly, variety, spontaneity, and penciling on your schedule. Who is your target audience, or what is the audience and the age group and the demographic and whatnot? Who are you reaching with this podcast?
So what's interesting is like our viewers are exactly what we planned them to be, people like us. Mm-hmm. So they're our age, mostly women, but we wanted to really target young families as much as we could, but singles too, because we give a lot of advice and things like that as well.
Yeah. And what's the feedback, Jared, if you want to chime in? What feedback are you getting from the audience who's saying, hey, your advice was sage, or maybe not, or what are your audiences sharing with you all, for better or for worse?
Well, we love to always start with the disclaimer that we aren't the authority on marriage. I don't speak for all men/husbands. She doesn't speak for all women/wives. And we don't speak for each other without consent. So one of the things that I'm hearing from other people is that we're really just sparking a conversation at the crib. Mm-hmm. And really, that's all we really want to do is find a way to insert a thought that you may not have thought before, and then let you guys run off with that thought. Mm-hmm.
So I have to ask, because I'm just really curious, this podcast sounds like it could hit on so many different... Run me the top 3 spiciest, most controversial, like type of topics and/or comments that you all get that people seem to really want to dive into?
I think shacking up was one of them.
Oh yeah. We talked about shacking up. I was for it. I understand it. I understand why people would want to know as much as they possibly can about a person they're trying to commit their life to. Obviously, he was on the other side of it.
I'm on the other side of that.
What do you call that? They're shacking up. Then what's the antithesis of that?
Living
Like
holy.
what's the
Fair.
I mean, just doing things in order as much as you can, and that was kind of my argument against it. A lot of times we put responsibility in places that have no stability to begin with, and so a lot of times that not having a shaky foundation. Because this is the thing. Let me get into it.
Thank you.
Really, this is the thing. Jesus said, "Anybody who listens to my words and does them, I liken him unto a wise man that built his house on a solid foundation." But then the very next sentence was, "Then the rain descended, the storm came, and the winds beat upon the house. But it endured." Then on the flip side of that, "Any man who listens to my word and doesn't do them, I liken him unto a foolish man." And then the very next sentence is, "The rain descended, the storm came, and the winds beat upon the house, and great was his fall." In both instances of doing right and wrong, storm and life still happened. Yeah. So for me is what kind of foundation are you willing to build? Because it's not the pretty things that's going to keep the house up. It's never going to be the crown molding, all the things that you go into a house, the master bedroom, the kitchen, the this, the that. Matter of fact, we went to go buy a house, and everything was what she wanted. But then we went to go get it inspected. And because the foundation was bad, they couldn't sell it. So it didn't matter all the pretty things that had been built up. None of that mattered at the end of the day. Unless it passed the inspection and the foundation was solid, it couldn't be sold.
Right.
So that is the reasoning for why I say, hey man, do as many things in order as you can, because at the end of the day is gonna end.
I say, like, in the podcast, like, I'm taking my woman of God hat off for a second, because we all know this is the thing we should do. And I'm giving folks understanding, though. Giving folks understanding, giving them compassion, understanding that a lot of stuff, there's a lot of things that sometimes as people of God, we set people up for condemnation and shame. You know what I mean? And it's like sometimes we have to acknowledge that a lot of us don't make it, okay? A lot of us don't make it to, being virgins and getting married. And a lot of us have sex before marriage. A lot of us live together before we're married.
We did.
And so it was right. And so it was about giving people that's like I understand why you would want to do that. I understand how you get there.
Yeah.
And you can still have a good marriage after that. God still loves you. This is not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't ruin your life. And I think that's where I come from, more realist, like acknowledging what is.
But my argument was, like, us doing that didn't make our marriage easy.
No.
Like,
but
it did.
Not
It didn't.
doing it doesn't make it easy either.
Sampling the milk from the cow didn't.
It wasn't
You
just
know what I'm
about
saying?
sex, though. It was about, like, living together and stuff. It was like the whole thing.
Yeah.
But recently though, this episode hasn't come out. It won't come out till November probably. We talked about our separation, though. We had a separation for about 6 months, and we didn't intend. We took a tangent and ended up really going into it, and we didn't expect to. So that was fun and thick.
So first of all, thank you for sharing. Again, sensitive, vulnerable things. The title of the podcast, the topics, I'm just like, oh man, I'm tuning in. I'm gonna be nosy. That's just all it is.
Yeah.
I'm wondering who else in the audience is like really curious, really nosy enough, wants to scratch that spirit of inquiry. Because you guys cover a lot of topics. So take a question from the people in our live audience today. Yeah, I love it. Hand went right on up. Come on up.
That what? Empathy? Yeah, like understanding each other is so important. I read this book by Max Lucado. It's one of my favorite books, actually, and it's called A Love Worth Giving. And in that, he explains this scenario where he's in a college lecture, and there's talking going on behind him, and he's so frustrated because he's trying to hear the professor and he can't, right? And so he gets angry and angry and angry. And then finally, I mean, he's giving him dirty looks and stuff. And finally, the professor says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I meant to tell you all. We have an exchange student in the back, and that's his translator. So if you hear him talking in the back, don't worry. You know, he's translating for him." And he said immediately, like, all of his anger and frustration dissipated because he understood. And understanding brings patience. And I feel like understanding and empathy kind of go hand in hand in bringing patience and understanding with your spouse.
Is it for you to step out of your shoes and see it from your spouse's point of view, even though you disagree with each other? How hard is that? That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about empathy.
I mean, yeah. I think it's as hard as anybody else. I think I know him a bit more, so I can see, like, okay, this is gonna be a thing, right? Like today, right? I knew, oh my God, this is gonna be a thing because he's very structured, you know. So him getting upset wouldn't upset me because I understood I set this up this way. But yeah, I mean, it's hard like it would be with any other human being. I mean, he's still his own person. I'm still my own person. And you're trying to figure out life together. That's a very difficult thing.
Jared, your take on how the question of empathy has been framed.
Man, this is the thing too. When you're dealing with somebody, especially somebody you're doing life with, there's some times that y'all aren't even gonna grow at the same time. Mm-hmm. There's some times where you guys won't get it at the same time. And I think one of the great things that we've been able to do is be like, all right, well, they just are where they are right now. But I decided to commit. So I'm going to be committed through them not being where I'm at. I remember, matter of fact, you came to me. This was what, 2019?
Mm-hmm. I don't know what y'all about.
She was like, yo, you need to start reading books.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I read books. And one of the main reasons why people divorce outside of infidelity is they grow apart.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Now, me wanted to be like, but when I sat back and kind of just digested, I was like, well, this is the thing. I want to keep earning my spot in her life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to just sit back and chill and just grow old.
And books been blessing your life.
And they have been. And they have been.
Listen to your wife. I'm just telling you. She's your crown. You better listen to her.
And they have been. And they have been.
Getting all of it. So I think we've got time for maybe one more question. Wonderful.
Good evening, beautiful couple.
Thank you.
So I heard you say that y'all had a separation.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first step you took to reconciliation?
Listen, so one, I initiated the separation. I did not think I wanted to be here anymore at all. I was super convinced I was done, okay? So for me, first step was God really softening my heart again to being like, no, we're not done, you know? So that was first step. Also, too, accepting the fact that at that point, he had been through all of the, trying to get back together stuff, and he was at a point where he probably didn't want me no more. So it was a whole lot of softening myself, because I had spent years hardening myself because of stuff we were going through in life and stuff. I had spent years becoming somebody that I didn't like or enjoy. And so, yeah, some of the first steps was really me working on me and being softer, getting back to who I am regardless of what somebody else is doing or not doing, or who they want to be, showing up as myself authentically every single time regardless. That was huge. And then, of course, getting him to come back.
Yeah, and then really for me, I was doing all that Justine, and baby please, and all that stuff in the beginning. But then, I was going through it. I lost like 30 pounds. I looked a hot mess. But then I kind of found myself and gathered myself and kind of started figuring me and my new routine out. I kind of accepted where she was at and just kind of let her be for a while. And just kind of started doing my own thing and building my life back. And then she came back when I was kind of...
Oh, I got to tell y'all too. Hold on. Okay, but go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. Let me land. Let me land.
I got to tell y'all.
And then when she came back, when she came back to how I felt, I was pretty much done. I didn't want to come back to that relationship, but I kind of went to myself for a while. I was like, man, bro, you were praying and fasting and baby pleasing for months. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a family. Do you want to be one of those guys that breaks up a family for his own happiness?
Dang.
And I sat there with that for a while, looking at what I would then do to create 3 more black men growing up in a broken home with a single mother because I just wanted to be good. And I didn't think that was good. So I thought, you know.
Clarify. You happy now though, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And even if I wasn't, I still say yes right now. But yeah. but
I got to tell y'all though, because when I first came back, he started actually talking to somebody that he liked, and he let me know that. Like, I started talking to somebody that I liked.
She went in my phone. I didn't just let you know that.
Stop. And I was listen, y'all. And at first. This is for all the women, too. At first, y'all, I wanted to be so defeated, like, oh, my God, right? And then I just took a shot in the dark. I ain't going to lie. I don't think I ever told you that, but it was just a super vulnerable moment because I was not sure or confident in myself at all. But I was like, she ain't me? Yeah. And he looked at me and was like, You right. Listen. Confidence goes a long way. Yeah. that was the moral.
So this is I will tell you right now, I don't know about you all, but I walked into this building and this interview not a listener, watcher, or subscriber of Behind Closed Door. That ends today because this is incredible. We just got a live action view of what really goes on, and I think thank you for taking something and just that can be sensitive that maybe we don't talk enough about in sincerity and with honesty, especially for people I would assume in our age group. So I think it's very courageous, it's very brave, and very necessary that you all lay your marriage bare for the benefits of others that some of these people you'll never meet. Yeah. You never will. And I think that's welcome to the power of podcasting, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for our hosts, Samantha and Jared, Behind Closed Door Podcast. Thank you all.